Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Gore, Bhavan Ashram, right outside of Berlin. This is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Tuesday. Kaustubha's in the other room. We don't like our microphones crossing, but I'm hanging out with Kaustubha. I've got a bunch of Zoomers here in the room. If you can see, there's Happy Handstand Hannah. And then there is, who we got here? We've got Tara, who books all our Indian tours. And Nicole Seifert's here. And Bunky Brahmachari's around here somewhere. There he is, right behind me. And Kaustubha's in the other. Kaustubha wears headphones, so you can't go in his room to get the whole show experience. I break those rules, and that's why people jam into my room.
Okay. Oh, I think Raghunath froze up. Is that right, Mara?
Yeah.
Raghu, you totally froze for a long time.
Ah, I'm frozen.
Yeah. It's okay. Repeat what you said.
What did I say? Anything?
You stopped it where you said like everybody hangs out in your room.
Okay. All right. Anyway, we had a late night Krishna party last night at a Buddhist temple. I sat at the lotus feet of Lord Buddha and did kirtans.
It was massive. It was huge.
Yeah, it was beautiful actually, and really nice. And today we're celebrating Radha, Sri Radha's appearance. It was celebrated in the United States yesterday. But today we're celebrating it today, and we're going to have a big Radha party, and we're a bunch of our friends, Zoom friends, Wisdom of the Sages friends are coming, and we're going to do it at the castle, at Gadadhar's castle, Gadadhar Prabhu's castle, and I'm still scared to get Gadadhar on the show. I just think he's too smart for me. I don't even know what to say to him.
It's hard when people are that smart.
I know. So if we interview you, we just want you to know that you're not that smart. He's one of those guys I just shut up and listen to, and I still don't quite understand what he's saying.
We were driving in the car. I rode in the car with him from Gore, Bhavan to Berlin, and he was trying to explain to me the things that he's created, healing systems that all the cells in the body vibrate. Everything's vibrating. This whole world is made. If you read the Vedic text, it's all created by sound, and sound is a vibration, and that every cell in the body is vibrating, but when they vibrate out of harmony, it creates disease. And most of the cells were mostly made of water too, so it's this water that's vibrating, and he's created these healing little machines. You can kind of clip them on your collar, and then they vibrate. And they help kind of like create a harmony in your cells. And it sounds a little, you just saying that, it sounds a little like, yeah, come on, right? Doesn't it? You're a little skeptical?
It does. Well, I don't even question it. I'm just like, I don't know. For me, yeah, sure.
But they're having.
You're smart. If you believe it, I believe you. I trust him.
Well, I trust him too, and so but they're having incredible results, and he's like marketed this. It's helping people all over the place. So anyway,
Well, he said
that's all I
something
know.
interesting. Did you pick up on this? He said
What?
something like, you can't say matter's dead, like there's spirit and matter's dead. Matter is all living. Did you hear him? Did you hear him say that the other day? Did you pick that
He
up?
said something like that.
Like it's all living, it's all vibrating. I mean, it's
Yeah.
temporary, but it's like a living thing. Matter's not dead matter. I thought that was interesting.
I'm not sure if you got that entirely correctly.
And
I
I didn't
mean,
get it right.
but I don't know. I can't say whether you did or not. But in one sense, it's all living because like the Paramatma is in every atom, right?
Yeah.
Every atom. So in one sense, it's all alive because there is consciousness spread throughout it, all of it. But then there's a difference between, like a human being or an animal or even a plant, and like this table or something like that,
Hmm.
because there's that primary Atma in it that's who's spreading its awareness. Anyway, he's doing very interesting, fascinating stuff, and he's scientists of the world are stepping forward and getting involved with him and all.
Yeah, it's got hundred employees. It's got this whole project and community up here. It's quite impressive.
Mm.
So that's what we've been doing. We're throwing a little party at his castle today.
Just to mention, just it's a little anticlimactic. I think if we like last year, we did a whole Radhastami celebration with Raghunath Swami. We made the whole show
That's
about it,
right.
which seems like the natural thing to do. But for whatever case, it's kind of anticlimactic for us to do it because everyone in America's already celebrated and we're celebrating it today. But just to share a little something, like this morning, it's so nice just to be with other bhakti yogis. People that like, and what especially when they're people that you can relate to, you know.
Yeah.
And you and I, we went to Italy to do our thing, to do the retreat that we did, and Satyananda Maharaj caught word that we were going to be in Europe, and he said, "Why don't you come and spend a few days with us here in Germany?" And he says, "And Radhastami is at that time, so we can celebrate Radhastami together." And remember what he said? He said, like, there's no agenda here. It's just about spending time with each other, right? Hearing from each other, opening up your hearts, speaking to each other, sharing your thoughts, sharing your realizations, and that we have to make time for that. And I thought that was, in this world that we live in, you don't get a lot of that, Let's sit down. It's been some years since we've been together. Let's sit down and let's share our thoughts together. Let's share where we're at. And so we've had time to walk with him and to talk with him. And this morning, I walked. I went down. They have a beautiful little room that's like dedicated as a temple, just so sweet and tastefully done in there. And and he took out a book, that had prayers to Radharani in it. And he said, "Let's together." There are three of us there, and he said, "Let's together read this prayer and discuss it." It was a beautiful prayer to Radharani, and I just thought, this is important in bhakti. That we all have duties to do in life, we all have services to do, but there's this esoteric side to bhakti where that what's most precious. You have to focus on what's my ultimate focus in life. I want to develop pure love for God, like the residents of Vrindavan, like Srimati Radharani. I need to understand it. Even though it's a very esoteric topic, I need to take time in my life, take time every day. Well, let me take the next 15 minutes, set aside everything else, and really go deep into what I hold to be most sacred, And I can see Satyananda Maharaj as a person that does that, right? He'll box off the time, he'll create the circumstances where you just focus on this, and it was such a moving and satisfying kind of little practice that we did. And I think maybe everyone can do it today, take 15, 20 minutes to yourself, or with a close friend that understands this practice, and read a prayer from a great saint who had deep realizations. Try to understand it, try to imbibe it. Take your time with it. Don't just speed through it, but like read every word. Pray that you can understand it more deeply. And that's part of how we practice bhakti.
You?
Yeah?
That's
What about
sweet.
me? Yeah.
I want to hang out with Tara today.
Me too.
Tara is like
too.
my senior devotee in my life that I love.
Yeah,
And he's
it's nice
here. I
to have
never
him
see
here
him. We
too.
just send emails to each other. Now I get to see him in the flesh, touch
That
him,
was
hug
another
him.
thing.
Huh?
Yeah, he was like he's living in Poland, and he's like, oh, let's come and let's all get together. So yeah, it's great to be
There
with
he
Tara too.
is. There he is, humbly sitting on the floor. All right, you want to dive in? We're in the third canto.
Let's do it.
Oh, I wanted to
Any
make an
announcements? We had
announcement.
some announcements, Mara. Announcements.
I got an announcement here. Wait a second here,
All
man.
right, go ahead, Raghu.
October 1st through the 3rd, California Chant Camp. If you live in Northern California live near around, we're going to do a kirtan yoga weekend at the Mandala Springs Yoga Retreat Center. I'm very excited for this. And Shelter is doing a Shelter performance. It's not like a hardcore show, but Shelter's playing. Parmanand is teaching yoga, Madhu kirtan. We have the famous, wonderful Karnamrita doing kirtan. She's going to be there. I'm super excited for her. And maybe we should get Henry to come out here. Henry, you should get out there. Yeah, we're going to have a whole weekend. You can camp, or you can, if you keep on the cheap, and you can camp, or you can get a little cabin there. It's a really nice place they have. And there's yoga all day. We're going to do a whole Shelter Q&A for Shelter fans, and you can buy a day pass if you live locally and just want to come for that Shelter day. But it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I posted on my Instagram stories. You can find out how to register there. I don't have a link right here, but I'll get one for y'all. That's my announcement. Right. Mara, what's up?
We have Bhakti Recovery Group meetings today for the men at 11 a.m. and for the women at 2. And then also for our Patreon members, Ariel Castillo is teaching asana at 6:30 this morning, and Lauren Baptiste is doing a special Ayurveda for fall workshop this evening at 7 p.m.
Every season she does it.
Yeah, it's great.
That's great. Thank you. All right.
Everybody gets sick when the seasons change, right? Especially going into fall. Gotta be careful.
That's the purification. The body's purging. It's not sickness.
What are you talking
not
about?
Sickness. It's cleanliness, man. It's the natural waves of the body. Just know the body. Know my body.
Well, if you take care of yourself, there's nothing to purge, right? Like that's the whole idea.
Nope, you still will. You still will. The body still goes through these rhythms. Okay. You just have less to purge.
Thank you, Dr. Raghu.
Thank you. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayesh vabhadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama bhaktir bhavati naistaki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will be extinguished, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shlakaya Chaksurunmadatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born blind, and my teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 24, Text 18. On episode number
532.
Woo! All righty. It's Lord Brahma talking to Devahuti.
Yeah, so Kardama Muni is about to leave her husband. She was what was she concerned about? She was concerned about her own spiritual knowledge and enlightenment, right? She's just gone on I think it was years that Kardama Muni and Devahuti were flying around in their beautiful celestial airplane and just
making babies.
Making babies.
They just had one baby, or they had many babies? What did I miss?
They had 9 daughters.
Oh yeah, that's right.
By the way, today's Tuesday, right? Is today Tuesday?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So we may get to, but there's like a lot of arranged marriage going on in this chapter. There's nine stages marry these 9 daughters. So if we
on a funny side note, whenever I mention arranged marriage Tuesday, there's always people going, "You should definitely do that. You should definitely do that."
I don't think they're talking about arranged marriage, but like creating some kind of what do they call those things where you kind of like matchmaking sites or something like that. Wisdom of the Sages matchmaking.
Bumble or Brumble? What's that matchmaking site? Brumble? I
Brumble.
met some devotee ladies on Bumble, on Brumble.
We'll call it the Bhakti Brumble. We can do it.
Yeah.
We can do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bhaktal.
What? Okay, so any case, so now Lord Brahma is there. Like he
No,
showed
but
up.
imagine that. Imagine it be like, how many rounds do you chant? Do you chant 16 rounds? 4 rounds a day. No rounds, but you like Krishna. These are all the things. What else? Do you do puja at home? Do you study the Bhagavad Gita regularly? How regularly? These could be all criteria for picking your spouse.
How often? Do
I
you
can
listen to
totally
Wisdom of the
see
Sages?
this. Like he's
do
too
it.
serious. He's chanting like 32 rounds in the Odyssey. I can't do that.
I'm completely serious. Like we could build that out of these groups that we're creating now. Like it could, because we're going to have a whole team that's researching from them. We could go ahead and build like a matchmaking thing out of it.
Well, check
I
this out.
say that in all seriousness.
The first thing is you can put the astrology charts in. You can't even look at a face. You put the astrology charts in.
We'll
and
get
they
back to you and
match
tell
up.
you whether or not it's going to work. Right?
What's that? Yeah, you put the charts in, and if it goes to above 75%, then the face appears. And then you go, okay, all right. Let's look. No. Before the face, how many rounds do they chant? You can't get attached yet. You want to find their criteria as a person. You don't want to be driven by lust. You want to be attracted just by criteria. Okay, these person, we have similar values, similar dreams, similar aims. Then once you click all those boxes, yes, I will chant 4 rounds a day, whatever that is. Then the face appears.
Okay.
Right? Come on.
No, but in all seriousness, Rukmini Devi is
serious.
I'm totally. You don't sound it, but okay. but yeah, I think we might need to do something like that.
Okay. All right.
Let's work on that. Okay. So now Lord Brahma speaking to Devahuti, and you see, because Devahuti was flying around in that airplane, making babies. It was like, after years of just full on surrender, like selfless surrender, she was granted this period of enjoyment and flying around. Now she's had the babies. Now Kardama Muni, her husband, is about to go back off into the forest. And she's saying, now hold it. You've given me so much. You've given me so much happiness and enjoyment. But really what I need from you, from such an advanced yogi, is I need freedom from fear, right? I need to become enlightened so that I'll understand that I'm eternal, that I'm not this body, that I'm spirit beyond all this. Can't you grant me that? And now we're going to, what's the message here in this chapter is you have nothing to worry about, because right now in your womb, you're about to give birth to Kapila, who's to God, to God. And it's not only God in it's not God in just any, like God comes in so many different ways, right? In so many different purposes, but in this purpose, in this incarnation, as this avatar of Kapila, Lord Vishnu appears precisely for the purpose to give spiritual knowledge. And so if that's your concern, it's all taken care of, because that's what it's going to happen. So now Lord Brahma is kind of consoling her. Don't worry, nothing to worry about here. Text 18.
Lord Brahma told Devahuti, my dear daughter of Manu, the same supreme personality of Godhead who killed the demon Kaustubha. I don't know that story, is now within your womb. He will cut off all the knots of your ignorance and doubt. Then he will travel all over the world.
Okay. So Kapila is important, right? Because he teaches a certain type of, like it's a intellectual method, right? It's like a type of analysis called Sankhya. And we can talk a bit about that maybe more after we read the next verse. But it's interesting when you read this, right? Lord Brahma says, my dear daughter of Manu, Devahuti, the same supreme personality of God who killed the demon Kaustubha is now within your womb. Now, why is he saying that? What do you think, Roga? I mean, I have my own thoughts.
He's going to kill your doubts.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. He's going to kill your ignorance and doubt. So and I think Kaustubha, there was Madhu and Kaustubha. There were 2 asuras, right? 2 demons. And I believe that they stole the Vedas from Brahma. and tried to hide it. And Lord Vishnu came and took care of it. Right? So I think even there's more symbolism there. Like, they were trying to steal Vedas, trying to steal the knowledge, and Lord Vishnu took care of it. So that same Vishnu is going to make sure that your knowledge is, that you will have the knowledge that you need for liberation.
Nice.
That's how I understand. But why don't we read the commentary?
Okay. That was 18.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, here we go. Here the word avidya is very significant. Avidya means forgetfulness of one's identity.
Yeah.
Every
So
one of us.
Vidya is like knowledge. You could say.
Knowledge
So
of your
avidya.
avidya. Yeah.
Lack of
Avidya,
knowledge.
no knowledge. Every one of us is a spirit soul, but we have forgotten. We think I'm a body. This is called avidya. Samsaya granti means doubtfulness. The knot of doubtfulness is tied when the soul identifies with the material world. Partial truth, right? It's a partial truth.
Yeah.
It's not. It's got some truth in it, but it's a partial truth. The knot is also called ahamkar, the junction of matter and spirit. By proper knowledge received from the scriptures in disciplic succession, and by proper application of that knowledge, one can free himself from this binding combination of matter and spirit.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
discuss it just a bit, So this ahankara, when we translate that into English, we commonly say, Mara, hot seat for Mara today. We just keep her.
False ego.
False ego, yeah. We say for like the false ego, the false conception of the self, that there is actually an ingredient, right, in the material world that has this influence. That and it said here, what did it say? That knot is also called ahankara, the junction of matter and spirit. In other words, when spirit, the soul, myself, identifies with matter as being itself, there's a junction, and so that force of ahankara is causing that to happen, that misconception, that misunderstanding, and that obviously, the way to remedy that is through the right knowledge, but it takes that contemplation, right? It's so strong, isn't it, that we identify with the body, even though, and this is what knowledge is going to. This is how the process of knowledge functions. Now contemplate this, reflect on it. Right? Think about the fact, that you're not the body. Think about the fact that even in this one life, you were in a child's body and that body's gone, but you're still you, and you remember that body, that you're not the body, and contemplate that daily, contemplate that regularly, and realize that even though I identify with this body so much, every time I've been in a different body, I've identified with that body, right? Man, woman, black, white, animal, plant, we're always thinking this is me.
Convinced of it. That's the knot. Totally convinced.
Now that's a theory, right? Like someone doesn't have to accept, like, I don't know if I'm able to prove that to someone or necessarily convince someone of that. But okay, here's a source of knowledge that's been studied for thousands and thousands of years. Here's a source of knowledge that it does have a strong philosophy behind it. You can't necessarily, someone doesn't necessarily have to accept it because it's there, but isn't it worth at least giving it some serious research into this and seeing if this theory makes sense, experimenting with it, seeing how it might affect your own life.
I like this analogy of dancing. The soul.
Dancing
is something real. It's not something just thought up. It has desires. It has there's spiritual thoughts. There's this external hardware machine thing, and in Bhakti-yoga, it's the training of the external to move like the internal, like the self.
Okay, in harmony. So, that's yoga. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, we're rehabbing our voice. We're rehabbing our thoughts. We're rehabbing what we hear. So the external me is actually moving very beautifully with the internal me. And when I'm acting in a way when that knot is really tied, and I'm acting in a way that's got nothing to do with my genuine self, my spiritual self, I become quite ugly in this world. My thoughts become ugly. My words become ugly. My actions, my desires, my passions, my dreams, they all become almost like that's what, we have this word pretentious. It means you're just pretending to be something that you're not. There is something that we essentially are. And to the degree that we act with the gross body in a spiritual way, we move in beautiful, fluid. It's like a fluid dance with the spirit in this world. Fluid dance.
Nice.
Fluid dance.
I like how you're speaking about this. I like, we call this a daily yoga podcast, but what's the yoga?
We never talk about yoga. We never talk about yoga. It's a daily yoga podcast. We never talk about yoga.
We're talking about right now, and this is the idea, right? That if yoga means union, then what is being united? And it can be understood in different ways. One way to say that is uniting the soul with God. You could definitely say it that way. But here's another way of looking at it, right? That there's even, Sanskrit's so interesting, right? Like the word Atma, it can refer to the body. It can be used to refer to the mind. And it can be used to refer to the soul. Now, most properly, we use it to refer to the soul, right? That the soul is the Atma. It's eternal. It's made out of a different type of energy, spiritual energy, which isn't subject to the influence of time, which doesn't erode in any way. It's unaffected. It's eternal. But then there's the mind and the body, and you put them all together, and we can call that all the self. In some, the body and the mind aren't truly the self, but the self is operating through them, and in one sense, we say this is myself, like my arm, and it's all part of me. So, in one sense, we can say that's true, but it's not ultimately true. But this is the point, that the nature of the soul. When we look into the writings of these great sages, the nature of the soul is to love. That's what it's designed for. That's what it's built for. And all the beautiful qualities that come with that, right? Compassion, for instance.
Who
right?
teaches this stuff? This is like an incredible...
Why didn't we learn this in school? What were they doing? Right?
Our nature is to love. That's a t-shirt right there. Our nature is to love. That's all we can do.
Yeah. And I'm saying, even if you... Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No, that's it. I'm just saying,
everything
else of the material world can be stripped from us. They can strip me of my my wealth, of my home. They can take my shoes. They can take my arms. They can cut my hair. Everything we lose in this world except the desire to give love. That's something that can't be taken away from me. You can beat me.
This, right? Yeah. Why didn't they teach us?
You can beat me.
Like, at least, yeah.
But I can still.
I'm not going to beat you.
But you can't, even if you beat me and torture me, I can still say, you know what? I'm going to love you anyway. Mm-hmm. Only I can take that away. And we're in the material world. It takes away that desire. It makes you think by hating, you'll be happy. And we, even in the name of doing something right, we start to hate things, people, beings, groups, minorities, genders, gender preferences. But actually, it's the love. That is the precious thing, that desire to give love. That's what we're in training to do. Yes. See God in every living being and see God up above or out there and within everybody.
Right. And so what you're saying, like, just like this is what's presented through Bhakti philosophy, that every object has its eternal nature. Like right now I'm holding a pen, right? Or has its nature. This is a pen. Now, What is the pen designed to do?
Poke.
No,
can poke.
It's not designed to poke.
Right.
You're getting that from, that sounds like some Rooney would say, like your 7-year-old, right? It's perfectly designed to poke.
It's a writing device.
It's a writing device. So there was a person who had a concept. Let me design something that's good for writing. And so when the pen is writing, it's fulfilling its nature. And we call that its dharma, right? Its purpose. And so these sages, their realization, the depths of going deep into their meditations and deep into their deepest realizations, they come out and they tell us that the nature of the soul, what it's designed for, its dharma, is actually love, service and love, selflessness and like that. And so if that's the nature of the Atma, right, the true self, the most inner self, Well, if the mind and the body are not in harmony with that, then we're a living conflict. We're conflicted,
Right.
right? The nature of myself is love and selflessness, but my mind has been shaped by this world, by the television that I've watched, through the relationships, the people that I've been exposed to, and the music that I've listened to. My mind has been shaped with a whole nother message, a whole nother nature. No, we're not born to love. We're here to take rather than to give, right?
I wrote a song about this.
I'm sure you did. Let's hear it.
Well, I'm not going to go to the lyrics, but the idea is that the spirit soul is born to give, and in illusion, we think we're born to take. We're born to collect. We're born to hoard. We find our worth from our stuff, and it's just an illusion. Our worth doesn't come from our stuff. It comes from our contribution.
And even our very nature, right? That of a lover, in a sense.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so now let's get back to yoga. So what yoga means is my mind and my body have been warped through their exposure to this world. And they've got me convinced of all kind of fallacies that I am this body, that happiness comes through the senses and through external things. And I've been warped, and what it's done is it's exposed me to experiences like depression, anxiety, boredom, like all those negative things, which are completely opposite of my nature, which is full of love and excitement, right? And so yoga means I need to begin to use my body to train my mind to become harmonious with the nature of the self, right? I need to bring these together. I need to end this conflict. So, in Bhakti-yoga, it's like, let me take my mind and expose it to reading Bhagavatam. Let me take my mind and expose it to the chanting of God's names. Let me take my mind and expose it to the vision of the form of God in the temple. Contemplate it. Bring it in through my eyes. Shape my mind by it so that my mind will become harmonious with the nature of myself. And that is what we call yoga.
You ever get to this point where you're sort of like, you can do anything. Like, what do I buy? Like, what do I purchase? What do I purchase? What can I purchase out there that will satisfy myself? Like, is there something to purchase? Is there a place to go where it'll all be right? Is there something I can? It's this deep longing for God misplaced in stuff.
I thought for a second you were going to say gelato, because that was my after being the past 2 weeks. So what can I buy?
What can I buy? It's like gelato. I'm putting gelato in the God-shaped hole. That's the problem.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So in any case, I like thinking of yoga like that. We've used this definition of yoga. Yoga is a practice which empowers one to overcome the obstacle of the mind.
Say it again. Say it again, sir.
Yoga is the practice which empowers one to overcome the obstacle of the mind for the purpose of the self realizing or experiencing its own true nature, right? That's one way to say it. A very similar way is what we're talking about now is I'm going to retrain my mind. I'm going to use my body and retrain my mind so that it's all operating in harmony with my true nature, because only then will I realize my true nature.
Isn't that our real
my mind's going to block it?
Isn't that our real issue in this world? It's got nothing to do with what's going on outside. It's got nothing to do with politics. It's got nothing to do with my situation, even my family situation or my economic situation. It's all got to do with my mind.
Yeah.
I need to rehab my mind. I need a better attitude. I need like some mental modifications. And the whole yoga system is these mental modifications. How can I modify it? How can I stop putting me in the center? Find a world that accepts me as the center. That's not going to work. It's a God-centered universe. It's a divinity-centered universe, and I've been living in a me-centered universe. I'm trying to align a whole bunch of people who will endorse that theory. And if they like me and look up to me, then they're my friends. And if they got any issue with me, they're my enemies, and they're not fitting into my view of reality.
Right, and everybody's doing that, so we're all conflicting with each other.
It's always going to conflict.
Stress.
Because there's billions of different centers.
That's right. Yeah, we all got to get around one center.
Yeah.
All right. So if we get back to this commentary now, it says the knot is also called a ahankara, the junction of matter and spirit, where we identify with the body and mind. There's a junction there that's facilitated through this energy or this force called ahankara or false ego, by proper knowledge received from these texts, from these scriptures, in the disciplic succession, handed down by teachers, with realization about it, and by proper application of that knowledge. You got to take that knowledge and apply it in your life and begin to act differently, right?
Yeah.
One can free themselves from the binding combination of matter and spirit.
Now, this is the problem with knowledge, Kaustubha. Knowledge has to be applied. It has to be applied.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no point in just being the armchair speculator.
Yeah. I call it getting the gym membership, but not going to the gym. Okay. Doesn't work. It's like, makes sense. I got the membership. I'm ready to go. I just not going to go. I bought the yoga pants. I just don't do yoga.
I talk about it a lot, though.
I talk about yoga. I think about it. Yeah. So the same thing is with knowledge. We can read all these books, but you really got to just start applying them, or else it doesn't come to life. I can collect seeds. I got to plant the seeds. Same thing.
There you go.
All right.
So Brahma assures Devahuti that her son will enlighten her. And after enlightening her, he will travel around the world distributing the system of Sankhya philosophy. So this Sankhya philosophy, let's read the next verse. Let's go there, and we'll discuss a bit about this Sankhya philosophy. This is a practical way of engaging the mind to help me understand that I'm not my body.
Yep.
Right. All right. So text 19.
All right. Text 19. Your son will be the head of all the perfected souls. He will be approved by all the great acharyas, expert in disseminating real knowledge. And among the people, he's celebrated by the name Kapila. As the son of Devahuti, he will increase your fame.
Well, I wonder what that feels like for someone to tell you that, or for Lord Brahma to tell you that.
Lord Brahma to tell you that you're going to give birth to God?
Well, your son will be God. He's going to be the head of all perfected souls. There's talk about bragging rights.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
my son. I just had an 8.5 pound baby. Really? I gave birth to God.
Your son's a doctor, lawyer. Interesting. Mine is the head of all perfected souls. He's approved by all the acharyas.
My son went to Yale.
Real knowledge.
My son went to Yale. Really? Mine's God. He's okay. It must have been hard in elementary school with all the other kids.
Yeah. So please read the commentary to this. It's a short one.
God, sit down right now. It's not lunch yet. How do you instruct God?
And then he enlightens the teacher.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Sri Maitreya said.
No. Purport. Commentary.
The commentary of the. Okay. Already.
Yeah,
text 19. Sankhya philosophy is the philosophical system enunciated by Kapila, the son of Devahuti. The other Kapila, Prabhupada says this a lot. There's an other Kapila out there. The other Kapila, who is not the son of Devahuti, is an imitation.
Imposter.
It's almost like someone names their kid Jesus, and the kid commits a crime, and they say, well, Jesus,
or even more so, he goes around acting as if he were Jesus, but teaching something different.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
So who is this
Subtly
other
different,
Kapila? They talk about a lot. The other Kapila.
He presented Sankhya philosophy, but he took God out of the picture.
And he called himself Kapila?
Yeah.
All right. This is the statement of Brahma. And because we belong to Brahma's disciplic succession, we should accept his statement that the real Kapila is the son of Devahuti, and that the real Sankhya philosophy is the system of philosophy which he introduced and which will be accepted by the acharyas, the directors of spiritual discipline. The word susamata means accepted by persons who are counted upon to give their good opinion.
We need that in life. Yeah.
And this what happens over time. Things get bent and different people show up and sort of take it a different direction. So the Acharya, Prabhupada here, is giving his commentary and put us back on track.
Okay. Now let's briefly discuss Sankhya and what that means, okay? Because we're going to be hearing a lot about it now.
Okay.
Right? So there's different ways to approach it. Like, one is that there's 6 classical schools of Indian philosophy. One of them is Vedanta, which is, Bhakti is a part of, right? It means that each one of these schools of philosophy has something they call pramana, which means like, what's the proof? Like, how do you establish what is true? Right? And in Vedanta, it's by the Vedic literature. We accept that the Vedic literature is presenting truth. So if you and I are Vedantins, let's say you and I, Raghunath, we both claim to be Vedantins. We both have the faith that truth can be understood through these texts. Then if you and I have a disagreement, I believe one thing, you believe another, to get to the truth, it's not even like logic that we use necessarily, although we may apply that. We're going to go to these texts, and almost like lawyers in a courtroom where like it's the law, right? That you present to the judge. You don't present, it's those law books that establish what is law that you base your argument on.
Sure.
So you and I would, and when I say argument, I don't mean that like, what I mean is that the disagreement. We would solve our disagreement by going to the Vedas. And so each, one of the schools is yoga, which means Patanjali's yoga, right? One of the schools is called Nyaya, which means logic. Logic there becomes the proof. The strength of the logic in your argument becomes how you accept what is true. And but what's being described here is a school called Sankhya, which is based off of Kapila Dev's teachings. But that Sankhya may be, slightly altered. But the basic idea is the same. Sankhya means to count. So this is a way of analyzing things. And it counts the ingredients that this world is made of. You were speaking earlier today about like equipment, right? Like this body is equipment, isn't it? It's we have this body, and it's like a machine, and we're equipped. I'll break it down. There's 24 elements. And you look at the 24 elements and you realize, I'm not any of those elements. I'm the 25th element. I'm the soul. I'm spirit. But
I like that.
Okay, so here, it's not even so hard to memorize what these are because they kind of line up. It starts with earth, water, fire, air, and ether, right? These are the 5 just kind of like most general categories. They're called the Mahabhutas, just the very general categories of matter. And then with each one of those, there's a sense, or an object of the sense. Like, for instance, in ether, there's sound. In air, there's the sound, but also the tactile sense. You can feel it. And in fire, it makes a sound. You can feel it. You might be careful with that, but you can feel its warmth, but you can also see it. You can see its form. So now we have sound, touch, form. And then with water, it has all of those, sound, touch, form, but it also has taste. And then with earth, it has sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. So first you have the Mahabhutas, the 5 categories of matter, and of gross matter. And then you have the sense objects that are invested in that energy. And then you have the 5 senses that can perceive that energy. You have the ear, the skin, the eyes, the tongue, and the nose. So now that's 15 right there. The Mahabhutas, the sense objects, and the senses of cognition. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Okay. and then
this is where I lose Sankhya philosophy. I'm like,
well, that's simple, right?
Yeah,
that's the
that's
equipment.
Simple. They break it down much more also, but that's the basics.
That's the base. And think of it this way. We wanted to enjoy separately from God. We wanted our own little God project. We said, okay, maybe we're made to love and connect with you, the root of all existence, but I'm kind of more interested in acting and experiencing as if I were God. Well, okay, you're going to need the illusory equipment. You're going to need the virtual reality. So you're going to need eyes, you're going to need a tongue, you're going to need skin, and so on and so forth. You're going to need sense objects. You're going to need things to smell and things to taste and forms to see and to, and so on, things to touch. So all that equipment, the equipment that you need and the world to move around in is created of these ingredients, the 5 gross elements, the sense objects, the senses of knowledge that you take in things from. Then they go on to say, and then there's also 5 senses of action, your voice, your hands, the ability to grip and move things and so on, your legs, the ability to move yourself, and then anus and genitals, which all have their usages, right? And so now that's more equipment. And then comes the more subtle energy, the ahankara, the subtle energy that ties you to this equipment and convinces you that you are made of this equipment, that you are this body. The buddhi, or the intellect, which is that feature that's going to help you discern as you move through this world. The mind, or the manas, which is this part of the we say manas, which is part of the larger mind, or the chitta, which it develops likings and dislikings, convictions that this will make me happy and this won't. And then something called pradhana, which it includes the gunas, what's going to move all this energy into certain patterns that affect us in different ways. This is Sankhya philosophy. It says these 24 things are what this whole world is made out of. And we look at it, we analyze it, we understand none of it is conscious, none of it is me. I am the person observing it, I'm the person experiencing it. I'm therefore not this body. And through contemplation in this way, one can convince that I'm not this body, and and ideally free oneself from one's material attachments and find happiness and liberation. Right? That's Sankhya philosophy.
Yeah, and they're all changeable, right? I'm changing that matter that I'm encased in.
It's constantly changing, and I'm not changing
by my choices in this lifetime. Each choice I make is changing that matter around for better or for worse, in a more degrading or more upgrading way.
Or if I try to preserve it, like say it's changing, and I don't want it to change. There's nothing I could do. I can give it all my effort, but time, the influence of time is shifting it and moving it. All right. So this Kapil Dev is going to teach this in a very clear way, and it's just like nowadays, I got this great book and I really see the world differently now. It's kind of like that. It's like, hey, all you sages in the all you people that want liberation, here's a way of looking at the world, and it's really eye-opening, and it can really change your life. That's what Kapil Dev came to give.
All right. Next, onward. All right. Did we read the purport? You want to just move forward?
We just did, didn't we?
That's the whole purport? No.
It's only one paragraph.
Are we in text 20?
Now let's read text 20, yeah.
Okay. After thus speaking to Kardama Muni and his wife Devahuti, Lord Brahma, the creator of the universe, who is also known as Hamsa, the swan, went back to the highest of the 3 planetary systems on his swan carrier with the 4 Kumaras and Narada.
Whoa. It would be nice to be on that swan, right?
I know.
We're here with the 4 Kumaras. Narada is over there. We got Brahma, and we're all
the nicest swan I've ever ridden. It would be the nicest swan I've ever ridden. The word Hamsa, it would be nice to ride a swan.
You don't have to read the commentaries to this. Yeah, you could just keep.
All right, keep going. All right. Swans are very soft. O Vidura, after the departure of Brahma, Kardama Muni, having been ordered by Brahma, handed over his 9 daughters as instructed to the 9 great sages who created the population of the world. Now, I would really like to figure that out, like the population of the world. Just like there's different like races and stuff like that, where there are ones that like looked more, Caucasian or Asian or different bodies. Ever meet somebody walking down the street? I do this all the time. I'd meet someone walking down the street. I was like, you look just like me. Like we could be brothers. Like ever meet somebody like that? Like you look at it, I was like, man, this is so weird. I wonder if we're somehow connected. Like, hey, maybe you're actually related. Maybe you're like my father's missing brother, whatever, like that. But then you could even look at it back even farther. Like maybe we went back 300 years, or maybe the origin of species. Maybe we're from the lineage of an origin of species together. Ever think about things like that when you meet someone that looks like you?
Maybe we definitely are.
I know, but I'm just thinking like those progenitor, the lineage. How many of them were there? Were there only right?
Well, yeah. Well,
and what about the animals? Where do they come from? Who gave birth to all the animals?
We know the egg and the chicken question weighs heavy on you, Raghunath.
It does. It does.
You
weigh
just may
heavy.
not get the
Still
answer
struggling
to
with it this
life.
morning. How am I supposed to
But
go on for the rest of the day if I can't figure out what came first, the chicken or the egg? That
You
makes
just
me
gotta
want to
let it go.
pull out what little hair I have from my head.
Just let it go, Raghunath. It's not important. You'll be okay.
How could the chicken come first?
How could the
It
egg
came
come
from
first?
an egg. Who laid
right.
the egg? Okay.
But hey, you should be excited about this. It's Arranged Marriage Tuesday, and here come the marriages. We've got 9 great sages, and we're going to hear about them each one and who they married.
Well, here it is.
This is a happy day. Everybody's getting married and everybody's happy. Wait till you see.
Everybody's getting married. They didn't use our app. They're just doing it. Kardamamuni handed over his daughter Kala to Marichi. Just like in yoga, we have the pose Marichasana. So his wife is Kala. And then another daughter, Anusuya, to Atri. He delivered Shraddha to Angira. And Havir to Palatsya.
These are A-list sages, right?
A-list sages. I like how you said that.
These are like
these
are the big
Saptarishis.
big sages. Yeah.
He delivered Gati to Palaha and the chaste Kriya to Kratu. Kriya loves Kratu.
Were the
Kyati.
others were the others less chaste? What's going? What was
I know
implied
that was a
by
weird one. Like she's chaste, but what was wrong with the other? Kyati to Brigu and Arundhati to Vashista. Arundhati. Yeah. I went to Arun. You know that right next to Vashista Guha is Arundhati Guha. Have you ever been there? On the Ganges, there's that little.
They each had a cave.
A little his and her cave.
Oh, interesting.
That's real romance.
I got my cave. You got yours.
Yeah,
Right
me
next to
and my sweetheart. We have our own caves. Come back out, do some yoga, bathe in the Ganges.
Go back, and every now and then go
become
back into your own
progenitors
cave.
of other species.
Sometimes you need a little space. So you go back into your
Give
own
birth,
cave.
right?
It's important.
They were all
man.
progenitors. Did they give birth just humans or other species? That's my question.
Well, I think other species came through them, but again, I think you got to like step back and say it's not necessarily coming through their bodies in the way that humans give birth. Always,
I cannot get that
They
vision out of my head.
They could do all
Giving
kinds of
birth to like a chimpanzee, a leopard. You know what? How does that happen? We got to ask Gadadhar. Satchidananda Maharaj is here.
Let's get Gadadhar over here.
So, we got to figure this out. I wonder if it's just like mentioned
It has
somewhere.
to do with. It probably has something to do with the information field that he's been talking about. I don't know how, but I have a feeling it's involved.
Maharaj, do you know? How these? I'm with a Swami here. He's one of the most exalted Swamis. Maybe I'm walking this planet right now, Maharaj.
Okay,
Where
he's coming.
He's coming.
Don't ask him the chicken and egg question. It's beneath his dignity to ask him that question.
Maharaj.
Yeah, thank you for making me a member of this august assembly. I can only explain it like this: mind over matter. There are things in our mind which never take shape. Like if you think of a monkey while you have conception, you won't give birth to a monkey if you are a human being, but they are much more exalted beings where the mental field immediately organizes the material field. And yes, we hear of amazing births where a saint is agitated, thinks of something, and his sperma jumps into a pot, and from the pot a being comes. We can't explain it on our level. this would be too much to deal with our, but there are other levels, other realities where the mental field is immediately giving structure to something, some physical expression. That's how I can understand it. But nice to be with all of you, and let our dynamic duo continue things, maybe the ultimate explanation, but something. Mind over matter, mind structures matters, and on different levels that is possible. Thank you. Haribol.
Haribol.
There you go.
I get that.
That was satisfying.
Yeah. I mean, we just do everything in a gross way, but maybe
Right.
there's more subtle mental ways. Our mental bodies are creating stuff. I mean, our mental bodies create stuff. Our ideas. We create our whole future. We create a future from an idea. Why can't we just create beings, perhaps?
Or what about those people that bend spoons with their mind?
Yeah, or move things. What's that called?
Yeah.
Telekinetics. They move it.
Yeah.
Move like a pot
So
across
that's
the
just like
table with
you're
their
really
mind.
weak at it, but someone that's really strong at it might be able to create a new species, Raghunath.
All right, that was wonderful.
But
Any
let's just
takeaways
finish
today,
up these
Mara?
marriages. But we just got to finish up the marriages because it's arranged marriage
Khyati
Tuesday.
to Kratu, Brigu, Arundhati to Vashista. There's more?
Yeah.
Yes, there is. Here we go. He delivered Shanti to Atarava. Because of Shanti, sacrificial ceremonies are well performed. Thus, he got the foremost brahmanas married, and he maintained them along with their wives.
One more verse.
Thus married, the sages took leave of Kardama and departed full of joy, for each for his own hermitage. O Vidura.
All right, there you go. Perfect ending to arranged marriage Tuesday, right? It's kind of like the end of the dating game where everybody's like happy and
Yeah, and they all like kiss and
You
say,
yeah.
That's the newlywed game. That was a good show.
All right.
The newlywed game. Okay.
Oh, yeah, excellent entertainment. Raghunath.
Yes. Everybody 48 and up is like, yeah, that was a good time.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, it's Radhastami in Europe. Youngblood says, Mara, any takeaways today?
Yes. We have to make time to share our hearts with other Bhakti yogis.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj. I don't know if Maharaj was in the room when we are talking about that, but I was appreciative.
He wasn't there.
Sachinanda Maharaj.
Contemplate our misidentification with the body to break free.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
When your external self moves in harmony with the internal self, the knot in the heart is loosened.
Yep.
Our nature is to love.
Yeah.
Our worth comes from what we give, not what we take.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Retrain our mind to operate in harmony with our true nature. Knowledge has to be applied. Application is everything. Like a pen is created to write, the soul's purpose is to love. And we're in a divinity-centered universe, not a me-centered universe.
Me.
And we got to
was it?
get the Bumble Bhakti together.
Yeah.
Bumble Bhakti dating app. Thanks, everybody.
You got the music, man? All right.
Yeah.
I
You
can't
got
hear
to
it.
make it a little
There
closer.
we go.
There we go. Yes.
Thanks, everybody.
Jai Shri Radhe.
Wisdom of the Sages is a community-funded podcast. Please give generously, please. We have to keep this thing going, and it's been low this month. Something happened. Thanks to everybody who does contribute. We appreciate it. Go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages. Please tell us your journey home by going to Apple Podcasts, giving us a 5-star review, and writing your story. We want to read it. I read them all. And I want to thank Sachinanda Maharaj for giving his valuable 2 golden cents that we listened to. Thank you. And let the dancing begin.
Let's see Tara dance. I want to see something from
Yeah,
Tara.
let's see Tara dance.
He's a good dancer.
There he
There
is.
we go.
Come on, Nicole, get up here.
Yes.
Come on, Hannah.
Radhe